So in this video I'm gonna teach you how you can create a professional studio lighting inside of Blender. So if you are looking for a tutorial to teach you how to create a professional lighting setup for products and furniture, here is the right place. If you'd like to know more about how to use Blender for architectural visualization and for realistic rendering, you are in the right place. So click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell so every time I post a new video, you will know that. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing, we need to have a good camera. So the camera will be a camera which I will just look in front of my object, press 6 2 or 3 times to make a 45 angle degree, press Shift A, add a camera, and press Ctrl Alt 0 to bring that camera closer to my eyes. The focal length will be 8mm because it will make the things that are closer to the camera not so bigger than the things that are behind the camera. If we do that same thing with a 22mm camera, you can see that the things that are closer to the camera look extremely huge compared to things that are further away from the camera. As we are looking for a more natural feeling, we're gonna use 8mm and make sure that this object will be more or less in this position in our shot. And now I would like to bring it down a little bit, but I don't like to rotate my camera like so. I prefer to use the camera shift option, which I can hold shift and bring my object to the center of my scene. In that way, I don't need to rotate my camera. I prefer to work like that because I prefer to keep my lines correct in my final shots. Usually this is more useful in interior shots, but in this case I think it looks more pleasing to the eyes to do that besides to rotate the camera. Okay, now let's put it in the rendering view in our other screen, and let's press Ctrl B, select everything to make sure that I'm seeing only what the camera is rendering. So first we need a floor, so let's press Shift A, Mesh Plane. I will enter the edit mode and increase the size of that plane, something like this is good enough. And then I will extrude this thing up, only that corner edge here. Extrude it up like so, and then I will press Ctrl B to make a bevel. So your bevel will come like so, and you need to rotate your mouse wheel to increase the number of bevels. And then we can move this like so, or just select those edges here and move until it gets all our shot covered. Okay, let's press the right mouse button, smooth shading, and make sure that our object is smooth and good to go. So let's deal now with lightning. First thing first, I don't want to use the word lightning, so I will just come here to the color and make it pitch black. I'm only gonna use the artificial lightning from Blender. So the first one, it will be the Shift A, light, area light, and this area light will be our key light, our main light, which will be responsible to really reveal our scene. So I will rotate that by 90 degrees, and then I will make sure to put it in about 45 degrees, in about a 45 degree angle of my subject. Also using the R key and press X twice, I can rotate my light in his own object axis. So this will make sure that I will have a good lighting in my scene. Okay, it's too weak, so let's increase the strength. The power now is 10 watts. Let's increase it to 100. And now we are seeing something in our scene. And to make it pop up even more, you can deal with your shadows. So to have more pronounced shadows, you can reduce the size of the lamp. So you can see that a smaller light source will give you a more sharp and defined shadow, and a bigger light will give you a more blurred and undefined shadow. So do whatever you prefer for your scene. In our case, I will put it in 0.8 centimeters, which for my taste is good enough in this case. Last thing, to make it really pop up, let's bring a little bit of color to that. So to do that, I will click here in Use Nodes, and here on the color, I will click on this button and I will add a black body node, which will allow me to use temperature to drive the color of my lamp. So I will increase that to something like 4500, which will bring a more yellowish but neutral color. Perfect. It's good for my taste. You can play with those values to make sure that you are getting things closer to your taste or your style. Let's press Shift D to duplicate this lamp here, and let's make now our fill light. The fill light has only one purpose, which will be to make the shadows smooth and less pronounced. So the power of that light should be smaller than the key light, because now, as you can see, the scene is basically flat. Let's reduce the power to something like 45 watts. I think this is good enough, and you can see that now we have a really soft shadows. Before that we have this harsh and dark shadows. After that we have these shadows here. You can play with this value, but in my case this is good enough for me. And for the temperature, I like to increase that to something more like a bluish color, something like a 7500, because the main lights will be warm and the shadows will be cool, will be bluish, which creates a really good complementary color scheme. So now it's looking really good, it's looking really professional, but we need another light to make things pop up a little bit, which is more like a situational light. You can see that the background is really dark, so let's press Shift A and let's add an area light, which will be responsible only to illuminate this background. So let's increase the strength to 100. So let's bring it up like this. As you guys can see, now we have a light that is really only lightening the background. Let's try 200. Yes, like something like that. This light, so before we had that, which is awful, and now we have a more clear background to see. And finally, let's add a ring light, which is a light that we're gonna use to draw an outline behind our object. So to do that, all we're gonna do will be the following. So the first thing first, let me test. Yeah, this light here, I don't want this light to cast shadows. So if I turn off the cast shadow for this light here, we're gonna have more control to the shadows in this corner. You can see that we have some bug-ish stuff on the shadows here. You can see that is really strange. So turning off the cast shadows for this light here really allow us to get a more interesting result, as you guys can see. Anyway, let's add now a ring light. So let's press Shift A, light, area light. Let's point it behind our object, like so. And let's put somewhere like here, more or less a 45-degree angle, like so. I will hide all the other lights to deal only with my ring lights, and then I will move it up. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. I would like to have these pronounced lights here behind my object. But let's bring it up a little bit. Let's bring it down like so, something like this. And yes, let's increase now the power, something like 55, I believe will be good enough. And look how dramatic it looks. It's really interesting. So I will press Alt H to unhide all my other lights, and you can see that we really got a professional result here. Finally, that we have our lighting done, let's play a little bit with the colors of our backdrop. To do that, all I'm gonna do is to come here to the material section, create a new material. I will call this material backdrop. To deal with the colors, I really prefer to use complementary color scheme. So what I like to do is, I come to the base color, click in this eyedropper, and click here any part of the wood, somewhere around here. Okay. I will also take this color, come here to the hexadecimal stuff, copy the hex code, and come here to this website, which is the color.adobe.com, where we have a color wheel. I would like to put in complementary. It's in Brazilian Portuguese, but anyway, no one cares. Let's just put it here, and now you can see that we got some options for complementary colors. For example, we can try this bluish color, like so. You can press Ctrl V here in the Blender, and as you can see, we have a complementary color scheme in our background, something bluish. So if you're looking for something more, I don't know, bluish cold like this, you can try that. In my case, I think this orange here is really better, so we can try something like this. And you can use whatever you want in your background color. But the cherry on top of the cake will be the following. As soon as you finish your lighting, it's looking professional, it's looking good. Let's stop a little bit and talk just a little bit about this specularity here. So to get rid of that, let's increase the roughness until almost it touches 1. Okay, now it's looking better. But anyway, the cherry on the top of the thing will be to come here to the rendering section, come here to color management, and change it from none, which is the default inside of Blender, to high contrast. It will make the colors pop up. Look how the none look is washed out. And look how the high contrast stuff is really popping up the colors, make things really pop up, really looking good. So did you like this tutorial? So click in the like, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in our next video. Bye.